Hello world! Today we are going to experiment a little bit with the Kat Von D Alchemist palette. Hey everybody, Shelly here, and today I would like to play around and show you guys some of what is possible with the Kat Von D Alchemist palette. Now, this palette is described on the packaging as a face and eye highlighting palette. It is a holographic shadow palette. There are lots of reviews about the palette itself and the product and how much it contains and all that good stuff. I'm not going to get into all that. This was initially on my no-buy list or my anti-haul because the whole concept of having shadows that were toppers, that were not shadows in and of themselves, that were meant to be put on top of other eyeshadows or on top of lipsticks, that kind of thing, that didn't appeal to me at all. And I can't get away with a whole lot of different colors of highlighters because I'm super pale, so just using this palette as a highlighting palette for my face wasn't going to sell me on it. I don't own, any of the other very popular highlighting palettes of the world. There are very few that work for me. So this was a no-buy. And then I saw some swatches of it applied over different colors of shadow and colors of liner, and it kind of blew me away, and I bought it. I have not regretted this purchase. I'm having a lot of fun with this. So I just want to show you guys some of the ways that you can combine the colors in here with other products to actually use this as more than just a face highlighter. Now, as a face highlighter, it's still beautiful. So let me swatch a couple of these. So we've got green, blue, violet, and then pink, which I just made a giant mess all over my hand. So if you swatch these green, blue, violet, pink on their own, I mean, they're very pretty. This is great for highlighting. They've got excellent shimmer to them. They're very, very pretty colors. They're beautiful as highlights. I mean, I couldn't highlight my face with this really without looking obnoxious. I'm far too pale for that, but they are pretty. And I would say even as a highlighter palette, it is a pretty, pretty palette. People do say there's not as much product in it and you might not buy it for that reason if you just want it as a highlighting palette, but it is a very pretty palette. Now, I want to do some other stuff. So we are going to layer these colors over a couple different products. So my favorite is to layer them over the NYX Black Eye Crayon. And it's the Jumbo Eye Pencil. Let me give it the proper name. You can also layer it over eyeliner. I've got a Rimmel brown shade here that we are going to play with. You can also layer it on lipsticks, and I have not done a whole lot of that, but I do have one of my NYX Liquid Suedes here. This is in Subversive Socialite, and we will play with that as well. And I just want to show you what happens when you start layering these things up. So I'm just going to draw some black and some brown on my hand. So first up, I'm going to dip into the green emerald shade and put it over the black. And now the same thing over the brown. Next up, the violet amethyst shade over black. And over brown. Next up, the blue sapphire shade over black. And blue sapphire over brown. Lastly, pink opal over black. And pink opal over brown. So let's start with the two green shades. Really the only difference you end up seeing between the emerald over black and the emerald over brown is that over the brown, the green is a little bit more of a pastel mint green than an emerald green, but it's not a huge difference in color there. That one looks pretty similar either way. Then the purples, the violet amethyst color. This one is one of my favorites. I mean, obviously I'm biased toward purple, but the shift that you can get out of it is much more dramatic. So when you put it over brown, you get a more true purpley color, whereas when you put it over black, it's like a purple shifting blue. So it varies a lot more deeply than the emerald does, and you can get really fun transitions when you do a black and brown underneath and sort of transition that one eyeshadow color over a base like that. So this one has been a whole lot of fun to play with. And then when we look at the sapphire, we get kind of the same effect. The sapphire over black looks almost like a navy blue, like a dark sapphire blue, whereas the sapphire over brown tends to pull a little purple. It's bluish purple, so it's not quite straight up blue. It is definitely a purplish blue. And lastly, the pink, not too much difference between pulling it over black and pulling it over brown. It sort of shifts a little bit more toward purple when it is over black. The combination of the violet color and the pink color makes a very pretty purple. So if you're using the violet over black and it's pulling a little too far blue for you, over black the pink leans a little bit more purple. So if you use the pink over the violet, you will get a little closer to the purple that you might be going for if you are laying these down over black. But I have had a heck of a lot of fun playing with these as eyeshadow. Now I do want to show you what it looks like when you layer these over a lip. And I've got the NYX Liquid Suede. I'm just going to put a little swatch on the back of my hand. Okay, it is almost dried down. So let's tap a little bit on. I'm just going to use my fingertips to do this for the lip swatches. And the first one I'm going to put over is a little bit of the Pink Opal. Pretty, right? That would make a really nice sort of highlight in the center of the lip, I think. And the heavier you lay it on, the sort of more intense the pink is, and the lighter you lay it on, the more of the lip color you get showing through there. Next, let's do a little of the violet. Now this one is so pretty because it's going over a purple. You just get this really pretty violet shift going on here. I will zoom up at the end and show you these up close as well. Then we've got the green. The effect you get from the green is just kind of the same as the effect you get putting green over brown. It still looks pretty green, so it doesn't change as much. The green is probably, in terms of how much shift and impact it has, is probably my least favorite in this group. It's still pretty, but it just doesn't have as much flexibility to do additional things. Now this is the blue, the sapphire. This is pretty over purple too. Overall, I have been having so much fun with this palette. I am very glad that I purchased it. I've actually love it a lot more than I thought I was going to, especially considering I wasn't even going to buy it in the first place. I'm a little disappointed in the green. I don't think it's as flexible as the other shades. The violet, I like it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Part of me wishes, though, that instead of leaning blue, since there is a sapphire blue shade in this palette, I wish it was maybe leaning red. How gorgeous would it be to have a purple red shift on one of these colors? I think that would be amazing. So I do kind of wish that the blue and the violet weren't quite so similar, because they do have a very similar shift to them at the end of the day. They do a lot of similar looks. The pink is, while it's not very versatile based on what you put underneath it, it's really versatile based on which of these colors you put it over. So that is fun experimenting as well. So that's some of what you can do with the Alchemist palette. Part of the fun of using it, I think, is when you sit down, you don't always know exactly what you're going to get, and it is an experiment every time until you get your sort of formulations all figured out and can repeat what you like to do. I've got a purple look that I like to do with this in conjunction with the Metal Matte palette, with the Volt color in the Metal Matte palette, which I think is gorgeous. There's just a lot of different variations you can have with this palette, and a lot of fun and infinite combinations when you think about how many shadows you've got that you can potentially layer this over and come up with new concoctions. So it definitely does appeal to the alchemist in me. If you play any of the old role-playing games, I play Ultima Online. I've been playing that for almost 20 years now. as long as it's been out since 1997, and I love to play an alchemist in the game, so getting to mix stuff up in real life has actually been a lot of fun. So I do highly recommend this palette. I think it's probably a little pricey for the amount of product that you get, but it's Kat Von D. I don't think that this is identical to other sort of highlighter palettes in the sense that these shadows are so finely milled that they do layer beautifully and seamlessly. It doesn't look like you're layering product over product. It melds together because the shadows are just so fine and just powdery in a good way. I think the formula is not the same as a standard eyeshadow or a standard highlighting palette. I think there is something special about this, and I think it does impact how well and how versatile it is. So this, I think, is a big thumbs up. I've had a lot of fun with it. I hope that you guys have some fun with it. If you have tried any of your experiments, let me know what colors you've combined. Let me see what you guys have been up to. I would love to hear how you are doing playing around with this Kat Von D Alchemist palette. Until next time, have yourselves a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Give me a thumbs up if these experiments have opened your mind to some of the possibilities within this palette. Subscribe if you haven't already. It all helps my channel to grow. I appreciate your time. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one and take care of each other. Bye-bye.